Hello, are you here to debate?
I'm actually here to make a comment. The point that you pivoted, you acted really childish. You called him a shit licker and a fuck nugget.
Yep.
That was just not professional at all. Also,
I'm not a professional debater.
Meanwhile, you were able to look up resources.
I told him he could look up resources. What are you talking about?
Well, you seem to have a problem with it when he said that.
Nope. My problem was that he claimed I shouldn't be able to look stuff up when he was telling me to look stuff up for his claims. That was the problem.
Well, most people do prepare when they want to debate without needing resources, or they have a binder at their desk.
Yeah.
They don't have to look something up on Google.
Fun fact, these aren't professional debates. We don't know every topic that we're going to have going into it. He brought up a topic I didn't know. I said, oh, that's crazy. I didn't know I was done talking. That's crazy. He brought up a topic, which was Israel's the only place in the Middle East where being gay is not allowed. I said, that's not true. Nope. Do you want me to list the countries again? I can list the countries again. Do you want them?
Sure, please do.
Yeah, great. Here are the countries where it is legal. No. I didn't realize you were still talking. My bad. I didn't know you were talking while I was talking. That's crazy.
You're so
That's
crazy. My feelings.
That's crazy. I didn't know you were talking when I was talking. Do you want to know the countries now?
Come up with a different comeback?
Do you want to know the? Do you want to know the countries now? I don't care about the nonsense. Do you want to know the countries now? Because you've now repeated his claim. Great. The status where it is. Oh, okay.
Fast forward.
Are you done?
Countries.
Great. Are you done interrupting? Great. Now that you're done interrupting, let me give you the countries. Where it's legal to be gay in the Middle East would be Turkey, Israel, Jordan, the West Bank, which, fun fact, is Palestinian land, Lebanon, Cyprus, Northern Cyprus.
It's legal doesn't mean it's socially acceptable.
I'm sorry. The claim was that it's illegal to be gay in these places. This was the claim.
Actually, what he said was any other country in the Middle East other than Israel, if you're gay, they would throw you off buildings or they'd save bullets.
That's crazy. They throw gay people off buildings here. They kill gay people for being gay here. So I guess America sucks too.
I haven't heard of one gay person getting killed here.
You've not heard of one gay person getting killed in the U.S. because they're gay?
Find one instance of where that person was gay and they got killed exclusively because they were gay.
This is going to be easy as fuck, bro. January 26, 2024, a gay man was brutally killed in Arizona. This was Leonardo Santiago. So there's one. This was deemed a hate crime.
And the actual trial, they said that it was meditated because he was gay.
This was deemed a hate crime.
Because he was gay?
This was deemed a hate crime, yeah.
Because of a hate crime.
What would a hate crime be? But a crime because of a protected class? That's what hate crimes are? What happened? Hey, real quick. Maybe I'm crazy. What happened in that nightclub in LA where a shooter just unloaded on a gay nightclub? But no, gay crimes don't happen in the U.S.
Into a nightclub and decided to shoot everybody up. Maybe because they had natural biases. That's not. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Your claim was that people in these countries will harm gay people, but people here also harm gay people. So what's the claim? What's the delineation break here?
A lot more socially acceptable.
What did he say?
Countries have a Pride Month. Do they have a Pride Day?
Do those countries have a Pride Month?
Openly and wear rainbow flags and have protests in the street?
There are protests in the Middle East, yeah, for gay people, yeah.
From any other country other than Israel.
Yeah.
Please find them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll pull it up right now.
Find one.
I'll pull it up right now. Let's see here. So there were protests in Iran. There were protests in Saudi Arabia. There were protests in Egypt. There were protests in Istanbul. How many more do you want?
Oh, So it was an actual example where they went there and they were just openly gay and
Yep.
had pride.
You asked for examples of protests. You asked for example of protests. Protests don't need to be I'm waving a rainbow flag, right? That doesn't equal protest.
Okay,
I'm telling you about protests. Wait, it's not it I doubt I'll find many pride marches. We're talking about protests.
They're basically the same thing.
Yeah,
one is a further extension of a protest. The other one can be used in multiple different cases.
It's very interesting that every time you say, hey, find X, I find X, and then the goalpost moves. So initially it's find a country where this is legal. Here's the country, goalpost moves. Find a country where you can be open. Here are countries, goalpost moves. Find examples of this happening in the US. Here's examples, goalpost move. Find an example of protest. Here's an example, goalpost is now moved to find an example of pride protest. How many times does a goalpost have to shift before we just go, maybe you don't know what you're talking about?
In the Middle East, it is widely unacceptable for gay people, besides in Israel. Israel is the most supportive country out of all the other
I'm not denying that Israel has some of the more progressive LGBTQ policies in the area. I'm not denying this. That's never been denied by me. What I am denying is that it's the only. That's what I am denying. Israel still doesn't recognize same-sex marriage and won't allow it in the country. You have to do it abroad. Not super open, right? If they still don't allow you to get married, okay? But to act like it's the only place where it's you can be gay is just completely ridiculous, and you know it is.
Well, I mean, you could be gay in any country, even if it was completely illegal. You just wouldn't say anything about it, or you keep it to yourself, or only to close people that you actually trust. Not saying you can't be gay in any country. Every country, I'm sure, has gay people.
Cool, but
no other
the
country
question
that is so open about it.
Israel isn't even super open about it. They still don't let you be. They still don't really want you to be gay in public.
Is Palestine open about it?
West Bank is.
Is Palestine, the country, open about it?
Palestine is the West Bank and Gaza. Those are the two Palestinian territories. So when you say is Palestine open, there are two Palestinian territories controlled by two different groups. The West Bank is controlled by, I forgot the name of the fucking group, the Palestinian Authority, and then Gaza is controlled by Hamas. So when I say...
Is the Palestine that you want free open to it?
The Palestine I want free is both the West Bank and Hamas, because I don't care. Fun fact. Here's a fun fact. And maybe you didn't hear it when I said this to the other person. Whether or not a group believes in gay rights does not mean that that group should be genocided. Do you agree with this?
I don't think anyone should be genocided for any reason.
Okay.
You also support
guess who's being genocided?
You support abortion up to 9 months. That's
Did you not listen? Did you not listen to the caller right before you when I explained that tape?
I did. You said it was okay up to 24 months to terminate the baby, and then after that, you would like to basically have a cesarean section performed.
I said up to 24 weeks, which, fun fact, this would be a pivot. We've now moved to abortion. I said up to 24 weeks that abortion is permissible in any way because the fetus is not sentient. And after sentience has arrived, then I would say we should prioritize life-saving abortion methods.
How do you know when sentience has arrived?
Because we have the medical science of how brain develops. Sentience doesn't just mean memories. Sentience is a complex web of systems with the human brain that looks at neuron development, neuron maturity. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, continue. I'm sorry.
So sentience is a complex web of systems that looks at neuron development, neuron maturity, neuron mass, so the amount of neurons that have formed in the brain, as well as the connection between your thalamocortical connection between your hypothalamus and your sense organs. When all of these things start to generally form, which is at about 24 weeks, because we have fetal brain scans to look at these things, at about 24 weeks, when these things have formed enough, we recognize that this creature is pretty much primed and ready to go for sentience. So we then value sentience from the moment it arises to the moment it permanently disappears. And anything in between that
So that's
should be valued.
so that's your cutoff, 24 weeks.
That's when I would say we should have legal abortions. Yeah. 24 weeks. Any type of abortion you want.
Weeks. So after
I said that wrong.
24 weeks?
After 24 weeks, we should hold on. I said it wrong. After 24 weeks, we should prioritize life-saving abortion methods. But you should still be able to remove a fetus if you don't want a fetus inside of you.
Wait, so your thing was okay. So that logic doesn't make sense, at least to me. Maybe you can explain it better. But so you're saying no, hold on. Let me just talk to him real quick. So I thought that your thing was like if they're sentient, right? But then you just said at 24 weeks.
24 weeks is when sentience
Am I
occurs.
missing something here?
24 weeks is when
So like
sentience
you're
occurs.
still like so you're still like supporting an abortion after 24 weeks?
Abortion, the definition I use for abortion comes from Harvard Medical. It's just the evacuation of the contents of the uterus.
I don't care about the definition.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to
Okay,
abortion,
okay.
it's just that you can remove it at any time. And after
So-
24 weeks, you have to remove it with a way that doesn't kill it.
Okay, so you're still
After
saving the
24
baby.
weeks, the baby has a right to live,
Okay.
right?
I mean, is that what you're saying?
After 20, yeah, I would say after 24 weeks, the baby has rights. The fetus has rights. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. After 24 weeks, I would
Okay.
grant it
That's
rights.
fair enough. That's fair enough.
That's close enough. But how about topic 2? Trans men/women are men/women. What is the
Okay.
definition of a woman?
The definition I use for a woman is any adult
So
human whose
not factual. Just making that.
Okay, so definitions by nature are prescriptive, not descriptive. Or, I'm sorry, are descriptive, not prescriptive. Definitions from like the dictionary don't tell us how words are supposed to be used. They only give like a snapshot of how words are currently used at any given time. So yeah, I don't use Oxford's definition of woman because this would just be an appeal to definitions. I use one that I've gathered by looking at neurobiological evidence, sociological evidence, psychological evidence, etc., etc. So we can split
mind if I
hairs
interject?
about that. But
Mind if I interject?
sure.
So I just want to verify. So you're saying that it's based off feeling and not what any factual definition has to say?
Nope.
You're going off what you feel and what you observe independently, correct?
No, I'm going off of neurobiological evidence, sociological evidence, psychological evidence. That's what I'm basing my definition on, are these things. Not just because the dictionary tells me to. This would be a fallacy that in the debate world. It's called an appeal to definitions. It's saying that because the definition says something is true, that it has to be true. Because even Oxford says we don't.
Chromosomes does not result in women?
What?
Are you saying 2X chromosomes do not result in a woman?
It sometimes can. Oftentimes it does. Fun fact. Oftentimes it does.
World, like the natural,
I'm sorry?
like the natural world, the animal world, they are female. They are the reproductive. That's their purpose, is that they create babies. That is biologically female. That is what it is. X chromosome has a womb.
Question about females. Do females spend more time of their life or less time of their life pregnant?
I would say less.
Then I would say their purpose is not to be pregnant if pregnant is not their usual state.
I'm not saying that that's their purpose. I'm just saying in the animal kingdom, like if it's a female sexed animal, it serves a purpose, not the sole purpose, is breeding and giving life in forms of babies.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I think there's another thing about that. So whenever we have sex, right? And you can look this up. I'm not 100% sure on this,
Bro,
but
he
I
really
believe it
pulled
to
an
be
attack to you.
either the second most or like most besides like drugs or something like that gives like dopamine besides eating food.
Okay. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I mean, and dopamine is what? It's for a drive, right?
Well, dopamine is just to release like pleasure into our brains.
Yeah, but like, why? It's a reward system, correct? I mean, that's why like you see a lot of like drug addicts that are like fucked up because their reward system's fucked up, you know? But with that being said, you know, when you eat, you know, you want to eat. For one, you get hungry, and then after you eat, you feel good. It's because you're releasing dopamine into your system. Well, with sex,
Basically, what the body's programmed to do.
exactly, the body's programmed to do it. With sex, I believe it's the second most. Don't quote me on that because I don't 100% know, but I believe that is the second highest form of like dopamine besides drugs.
I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
I don't
That would be
understand
like-
what I don't understand what point this is making in the argument.
The point that I'm making is I would say survival, at least, you know, when we were a caveman, right? Survival, the highest form or the highest drive that you have would be survival by eating, right? Now, the second highest would be to reproduce,
The other word, procreate.
procreate.
It's just a natural thing that happens in all animals.
So obviously, you know, you have to live. It's all about, I mean, literally survival and continuing of, exactly, self-preservation.
I also want to touch on the topic regarding gender-affirming care for minors. When you say that, do you mean by giving minors the ability to have access to hormones and basically biologically change these children?
Pivot.
Okay, so we'll move to that now.
Pivot.
Yeah, so gender affirming care.
Do
I'm sorry.
you have anything to speak about on the second? On the
Well,
other
yeah,
topic that we just spoke about?
Well, yeah, but you're not making
Yeah.
any you're just appealing to nature. You're saying because in nature we have this biological drive to reproduce that abortion bad.
Yeah.
This isn't, but you're not making any like logical
What I'm doing is I'm doing.
connections here.
I was making like a counterpoint to when you said something about like.
Trans, it's male and female versus the definition of male and female scientifically is that X chromosomes result in male. X
Yeah, I'm
X
not talking about
chromosomes
males and females. I agree. Okay, so let me just lay this out to you from a neurobiological perspective, okay? When it comes to neurobiology, when it comes to the neurobiology behind sex, there are three categories. We have genotypic sex, phenotypic sex, and gender. Genotypic sex is your chromosomal makeup. This is an immutable aspect of yourself. It cannot be changed. Nobody in neuroscience thinks it could be changed right now. None of this, right? Your genotypic sex is what chromosomes you're born with. Your genotypic sex determines typically your phenotypic sex, right? Your genotypic sex is deterministic. It determines your phenotypic sex. Your phenotypic sex is the physical representation of that genotypic sex. So you have your genitalia, you have your reproductive organs. This is your phenotypic sex. Now, neurobiology, biology, psychology, sociology, all of these institutions deem phenotypic sex to be a modifiable aspect of you. You can modify them through surgery, through other gender affirming methods. Like they just say that like this is something that like your genitalia, it can be changed. So we're not really rigid in that regard. And then you have gender. Now, gender from a neurobiological concept is determined to be a subjective perception of your sex and the way your sex is oriented in your body. Gender identity is something that is completely subjective to the person. We know what area of the brain controls gender identity. We know that specific hormones in utero can change your gender identity, like not change it as in like when you get older, but just change like what gender identity you're predetermined to have because it's a predeterminist gender identity is like predetermined for you in utero, right? This is all.
You're saying the individual's brain is what determines their gender, correct?
Gender is determined by the brain, yes.
Okay. And
hold on. Let me just. It's a neurosocial concept. So it's like half your brain, half social.
Okay. So I've also heard somebody made the debate, why can't I basically identify as black or why can't I identify as Hispanic? Why can't I identify as like another color or race?
Because those are legal categories. Those were created as legal categories. Your brain doesn't have an innate identity of being black, right? I don't think I'm a black person, but I'm not black because my brain just tells me I'm black. I'm black because of a shared cultural experience that I connect with for other people that are black, right? It's a legal category that I'm put into. Race was created, specifically race as we know it, was created in, I think it was the 1700s. It was a guy from Spain who created it.
Can I interject?
His name was, fuck, what was his name? I don't remember his name. I can find it if you want it.
I have a really good point.
Okay.
Please answer me this question. When
Uh-huh.
Michael Jackson died, was he white or was he black?
When Michael Jackson died, was he white or was he black? Phenotypically, he was white.
Oh, so you're saying they can phenotypically. So the brain can control race.
Well, he bleached his
color.
skin. What? Phenotypically doesn't mean
Well-
your brain controls anything. It's just your physical attributes. He had bleached his skin.
did
So,
it
like,
intentionally.
phenotypically, he turned his skin white.
Okay.
Was
So
he
if I have
was he
Pivot!
white as in, like, the
Right, right, right.
identity of white?
Pivot!
Still a female?
What?
If I don't go through a surgery and I have a penis, can I identify as a female and be considered a female? Because that would be like the equivalent of Michael Jackson wanting to be white, but he remained black, but he wanted to identify as white.
So
He went through the full process, the surgery, and all the
okay, so
like
hold
medical.
on. He didn't have a surgery to become white. He had vitiligo, and he bleached his skin to match the vitiligo because he didn't like the fact that some of his skin was one color and some was the other.
What did he say?
Michael Jackson wanted to be a white man. He just didn't want to have his skin be two different shades. Okay. Secondly, right, Michael Jackson might have phenotypically had white skin, but he still was like culturally black, right? Like he still grew up as a black man, lived as a black man, understands what it's like to be black, right? Because black is not an innate identity. You don't like identify as black, right? I don't have, there's not a black part of my brain where there is a gendered part of my brain. Third, to address your other point, you're again misconflating gender and sex. When it comes to sex, phenotypically, if you have gender affirming surgeries or specific gender affirming healthcare, you can phenotypically be labeled as female, right? And we see this all the time. There are trans women who have to go to the gynecologist, right, every month, or else they have some negative repercussions from the treatments they're taking. Their gender would be that of woman, whether you have a dick or not, because gender and gender identity is a concept formed in the brain. It's not just how you present in public. It's an identity.
Okay. Well, I think I've got all the information I wanted. I appreciate your time and thank you for being mature and respectful on this call. I did not like the previous call, is all I'll say. And I guess we'll agree to disagree. I think we found some common ground, but I think that's how I'm going to end it.
All right.
You have a great day.
You too. Again, I told you guys, I'm going to give the energy I get.